Joe Rogan has decided to do the carnivore diet consistently. Hey, what's shaking bacon? My name is Bruno Panucci. I hope you're doing well. So I really appreciate it if you give this video a like, comment, or subscribe. I'm down 150 pounds so far doing the carnivore diet, and I have about another 80 to go. So the interesting thing about the carnivore diet is Joe Rogan is the one who indirectly and also directly made this popular. He had Dr. Sean Baker on his podcast, and I believe it was 2018 or early, I think 2018. And that was when I first started doing the carnivore diet. And I had a hard time being consistent with it for various reasons, mainly sugar and carbohydrate addiction. But everyone can relate to that to a certain degree because everyone has their food they like, right? Some people it's just a food. Maybe it's a pasta, maybe it's a bread, maybe it's a pizza, maybe it's ice cream or dessert or whatever it might be for you. But everyone has that, including Joe Rogan. And Joe's known for having a clean diet and a very active, healthy lifestyle. So after Dr. Sean Baker dispelled some of these myths around meat and the carnivore diet, he was like, okay, so that's kind of interesting. I might try it one day. But at the same time, he thought it was sort of weird because after that finished, he knew some people in his world that were doing the carnivore diet or extremely low carb. And he thought, you know what, like you guys are starting to come off like fanatics, like vegans do. And he always looked down on people calling themselves like, vegan warrior. And you're starting to see a lot of these in the carnivore community. It's like, oh, you guys are just going in the polar opposite direction of these vegans. But what happened was he was still somewhat curious because he'd seen all these positive results. And of course, when Dr. Jordan Peterson was on his show, that's when he really noticed the dramatic impact it had on his life. And so he gave it a little more of a serious thought after that. And he thought, maybe one day I'll try this. So he was starting to get intrigued. And then at one point, he finally decided to jump off the deep end and actually try the carnivore diet for a month. And he did it. And he wasn't even 100% strict. He still said he had wine a couple times. And I think he had one or two small things off the diet. But he was basically 99.5% carnivore. He just cheated with a couple beverages and a couple small snacks throughout the whole month. But he had tremendous results. He lost a lot of weight. He lost a lot of weight in a very short amount of time. His gut, his stomach was less inflamed, and he felt great. He had mental clarity. That's the part he was attracted to the most, as well as just feeling really good. And his autoimmune disorder actually cleared up. Let's see what he had to say about this.
I did the carnivore diet for all of January. I lost 12 pounds. Gained a ton of energy. My energy levels were completely flat the whole month. No ups and downs from crashing after eating. I had a belly. A lot of people made fun of me, fat shamed me. I lost all my fat. I lost all the belly. I lost my love handles. I don't know if I'm going to keep eating like this, but it was tremendously beneficial. And I also have an autoimmune disorder. It's called vitiligo, and my vitiligo improved. I had a bunch of white spots fill in, so I don't know. I went into this thing thinking this carnivore diet was wacky, and I probably would think it's nonsense, but it's as good as I felt in a long time, and it's just 1 month.
So Joe Rogan was often candid about the good and bad when he did a carnivore diet. A lot of people want to just tell you only about the good. And I've always been pretty honest about the good and bad of any of the ways I've done carnivore. And it was pretty interesting because he said like the first 2 weeks of diarrhea was something that he wasn't eager to repeat again. And that's not uncommon. People sometimes have a little bit too much fat in their diet, but more importantly, their body's expelling a lot of fluid. And so it tends to come out as diarrhea for the first few days to maybe up to a couple weeks. But once that balances out and people adjust their eating accordingly, everything gets a lot better. And then they start to notice only the health benefits, and their carbohydrate and sugar cravings have gone away. So they get this mental clarity because now they're fat adapted. And so we tend to get to the point where we feel all the good with none of the side effects that some people feel in the very beginning. So recently he had mentioned in a podcast that he's been doing it for 2 months now, and he has the odd thing off of the carnivore diet. He has the odd fruit. He has the odd little this or that. But for the most part, he's dramatically a carnivore now. So after a couple of years, he finally decided to do it consistently because he said when he looked back, the best he's ever felt in his life was when he did a carnivore diet for that 1 month. So he's like, I'm going to go back to it for the foreseeable future.
What's wild is joint pain. Like I've had a left knee that's been me forever, and I don't feel anything now. It's been 2 months on this diet, 2+ months now, and it's like it just accelerated the healing. When you're eating a lot of shit, your body is in a state of inflammation.
Who knows what the future is going to bring for someone like Joe Rogan and Carnivore, but he's one of those guys. He still likes junk food, and he knows it more than anyone. But you get to a point in life, and this is what steers a lot of people to carnivore, is you get to a point in life where you get tired of not feeling as good as you could. And lots of people who tried carnivore once get addicted to how good it feels, because usually that good feeling starts to come in after like the first 3 or 4 days. And then once you get to that point and you feel how amazing it feels and you continue to feel better and better each week, you just want to chase that after a while. And for Joe, it took a couple years before he wanted to be that strict. And he's mentioned many times in his podcast how he's had a relatively clean diet overall, but he still loves to indulge in junk food. So it's neat because he's finally gotten to that point where lots of carnivores eventually get to, where they'd rather feel good than put junk food in their body. Because more than anything, you get to the point where quality of life is more important than the food you're eating. And for some people, they have to get pushed into that. Like myself, I had a lot of health problems, especially being more overweight like I was, but I was also dealing with a sugar and carbohydrate addiction that was pretty severe. So I finally got to this point where I made this decision to be consistent and strict with carnivore. Doing carnivore on and off wasn't working for me. But once I got consistent with it, that's when I started to get all the health benefits that comes along with doing a carnivore diet. So it's a pretty neat thing when you get to this point when you're feeling good and you're choosing to make this choice, and it's a choice. Now, it's not always an easy choice. It's easy to oversimplify this when I talk about it, but you get to a point where you want to make this choice for a healthier day-to-day, better quality of life. And it's neat to see someone who has as much influence as Joe Rogan making that impact to everyone else out there. I think lots of us get to this point where we want to make a positive change. Maybe it's not just for ourselves, maybe it's for other people, like a future generation. You want to be around to see your child get married. You want to see your grandchildren, and you realize, what am I doing? I'm way off from where I used to be. I used to be a healthy person, and now I don't think I have another 10 years left in me. So you decide you want to make healthier choices in life. Maybe your spouse has been doing that for you for a while, but you weren't really making it your own thing. And then here you are. You get to a crossroads, whatever brought you to that crossroads. And Joe finally got to this crossroad where he was like, you know what? I just want a feel good day today. It's almost like people who are entering their second or third marriage and they get over into their 50s and they stop and go, you know what? I just want to be happy the rest of my life. I want to be with someone that makes me happy. And they learn to value what's more important in life. And they decide they just want to be happy the rest of their lives with their partner. But you know who you're going to be with the rest of your life before your partner? Is you. So the better you are balanced, the better your relationships are going to be. The better your relationships are going to be, the better your little world is going to be that's all around you. So thanks for watching this to the end. I really appreciate it. Take care. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and hit the little bell notification so you can get all the notifications. Thanks a lot.